My name is Kristen Macpherson, and I have a background as a yoga teacher, as a yoga studio owner, as a teacher trainer, and as an academic. About 4 years ago, I started working for Yogacampus as head of training programs, and I'm delighted now to be its new director.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Stanley. I set up Yogacampus probably 23 years ago, and I'm really proud to have handed the business over to Kristen for the next iteration of the Yoga Campus journey.
Well, I'm Graham Burns. I've been involved with Yoga Campus since the outset and have taught for Yoga Campus for the best part of the last 20 years. The first thing I'd like to ask Elizabeth is to say a little bit about Yoga Campus background, and perhaps particularly to address some of the values that drove the establishment of Yoga Campus 23 or however many years ago it was.
Yoga Campus came about almost accidentally when I got involved with London's leading yoga centre, the Life Centre, back 23 years ago now. At the time, speaking to yoga teachers about what they were seeking for yoga in terms of yoga education for their future development, and how how yoga was changing in terms of how it was viewed in the community. And it felt like a sea change was happening in terms of yoga education, or the need for a different type of yoga education. I managed to persuade some teachers who I really highly rated to get together and brainstorm and create a first entry-level teacher training. And that ran for 20 years, really highly successfully. And I'm really delighted that some of the top teachers in the UK and also internationally are actually graduates of that program.
What was it, do you think, that made that program special or made it different from any other trainings that were on offer at the time?
I think because it became a community of educators. Over the years, we became really friendly with many of the original, I'm going to say kind of original yogis of the Western world who were pushing boundaries, and combined with the structure of the course, which involved both a board and mentors and local support, meant that it really was a community of educators.
Now, I know that a couple of years ago now, Yoga Campus decided to pause offering that entry-level teacher training. As I understand it, so that you could perhaps assess how the teacher training market was looking in the UK. Could you say a little bit more about that decision?
Mm-hmm. To Yoga Campus, it almost felt like we were entering into a period that was similar to the early 2000s, where the market was beginning to change, and that the focus on training also needed to adjust. I think the focus on a 200-hour curriculum and having the distinction between an entry-level teacher training and an entry-level teacher training versus what was being offered 20 years ago, where it was a longer and more in-depth course, meant that some teachers may not have been getting the more integrated and exploratory aspects of yoga included in their teacher training. And so it felt like Yoga Campus, as a community of educators, needed to stand back and consider what value it was bringing to the community, and was our role as an educator changing.
And how did you go about doing that?
It was primarily through ongoing discussions with the teachers that we work with around what they were seeing in terms of the skill sets of existing teachers, but also a sense that as a yoga community, we might have been losing track or losing focus on what the ultimate goal of yoga is, and that the focus had become too much upon how to teach safely a more standard type of class versus being a role model whereby students could truly explore what the state of yoga really is and why they did it, and the benefits of getting into a yogic state across all aspects of their life.